Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Down Over. I'm Rick Zanotti and I'm joined today by my good friend from the land down under, the prison continent. It's Jeff Blanchard. Hey, how you doing, Jeff?
Good, thank you, Rick. Well, we started off that way, and that's the way we're going to end this.
Do you have manacles on yet? Have any steel balls on your ankles, or is life good?
It's virtual imprisonment, so you just say told to stay inside. So
yeah, you guys are actually doing worse than we are. I was going, my gosh! But believe me, one state wants to pass a law that if you don't wear a mask, you could be arrested for attempted murder. I was going, oh God. We have more retards in government here than you can imagine. It's just that they're not free to roam about the country like they are in other places. But
I must admit, I do sleep easier at night knowing that there's a curfew from 8 till 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. It keeps a lot of people off the street that you don't want on the streets. So.
That's true. That's true. Well, here we go.
This show is sponsored by Relate Corporation. Digital learning development, media development, corporate video, management consulting, and more. Visit us at www.relate.com. Thanks.
And we are back and in that center position of power, accountability, responsibility, pressure. It's Harold. Harold Muliati. How you doing, Harold?
Pretty good.
Well, not much has happened this week, but there was some news today. Harold told me this morning that Mozilla Firefox laid off 250 people, which is about a fourth of their workforce. That's a pretty large number. They laid off, I think, most of the security team?
I think they laid off their whole security team.
The whole security team, plus...
I might be wrong on that.
A lot of web developers, or most of the web development team. They have some other people still left, obviously. They make about $500 million a year, which I didn't realize. Most of it from Google searches, interestingly enough. So I was thinking we should put a Google search. No, not Google search. Yeah, we should put a Google search on our website. What do you think, guys? Google search, and maybe we'll get like $50 at the end of the year. It might be good. Have a good burger or something.
Yeah.
$500 million a year on Google searches.
Yeah, and I
mostly
remember,
Google, not all, but most.
I remember actually previously, before, because right now Mozilla's default search engine is Google. Before that, it was Yahoo, but they had some sort of legal thing with Yahoo. Like they had Yahoo as their default for quite a while, but I think it was when Yahoo got acquired by Verizon, then they wanted to pull out.
Wait, I thought Yahoo was Microsoft.
Well, I think they're Microsoft now, but this was back in...
were they Verizon once?
2017 or something. Yeah, they got, I think, acquired by Verizon, and then Mozilla was trying to pull out of the deal. Then they were saying that there was a clause in there that allowed them to do that, but Yahoo disagreed, and they had a legal battle over it, and after that, Yahoo wasn't featured on Mozilla.
Interesting. Hey, can you do a quick search to see who owns Yahoo now?
Yeah, let's see.
There are so many purchases and sales that it's hard to tell who does what. Now, Jeff,
yeah, they're Verizon.
They are owned by Verizon?
Yeah.
So maybe Microsoft sold to Verizon. Huh.
I'm not sure, yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Never ends. But anyway, it's sort of interesting because, for all these years, everybody thought Mozilla was the safest and most private of the browsers. Well, it seems that's true, kind of, but it's also a bit of a myth, because unless you manually turn on privacy on all the things that they check, most of us don't, because we all assumed it was private, right? Wrong. If we don't turn it on, guess what? You're being tracked everywhere and anywhere. Data collected, like it or not. So if you're all using, I don't know, Jeff, do you use Firefox?
I only use Firefox on this to do the vMix call, because that works best with that.
Okay, interesting.
So I usually use Safari or Chrome.
So I think both Harold and I use Firefox. Go into your settings and turn the privacy on. because it's not on. They're tracking everything you're doing data collection, everything else. Sort of interesting. They do have all the privacy. It's just that by default, you'd think the privacy company would leave it on by default. No, because they don't really want you to know unless you push, and that means you go in and look for it. So that's very interesting. Now, Jeff, you and I are part of the e-learning brothers today. We are pumpkin people. We both have our orange on, and we didn't even pass the memo out. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes, we are tuned. We are tuned. Yeah, it's perfect. So I like orange. It's a nice bright color. It's cheery.
We're not hyped up enough to be e-learning.
No, that's true.
More energetic, so.
That's true. Yeah, that we definitely aren't. And the other thing we were going to talk about were tubes. Not the ones you tie, but tubes that come in our preamplifiers, our microphones. Here's a test. Jeff, does your mixer have a tube?
Yes, one of them does, I know, yes.
I don't think our Yamaha does.
Oh, not the Yamaha, no, not the mixer, no. I was going to say
I don't think that one does, because I was...
it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think and we looked over here, the Personas here didn't have a tube either. Now, for all those who don't know, tubes are there to make your sound warmer, but they're also there to sometimes make it grittier. You have tube gain, and the gain means how much volume is going through your tube. How much are you pumping through that tube? And then you have your tube, what's the word? Drive. The drive. Tube drive is how much grittiness you have in that. And tubes were often used on radio for a long time, and even on radio microphones, on tube microphones, to give that voice that slightly grittier, pop it out so that when you're driving you can hear it even with your roof down. And so tubes are really cool because, one, they warm up your voice more than other things, and they also give it that little more drive. Jeff, on your end, you've got two Aphexes. You've got the Aphex 230, and you've got the Aphex, I believe, Studio Channel, the newer one.
That's right.
And they're both tube-driven. We've never tried taking that tube out and putting a new one in, but I think you can, but I'm not sure if that would probably ruin the warranty or whatever else. You'd have to get the right tube for it, too. Tubes can get old, they can go bad, and sometimes you have to replace them. Now, on the Aphex, if anybody out there has an Aphex compressor, it's a compressor limiter and gate. It's called the Aphex 230 or the Aphex Studio Channel. That's the newer version of the 230. There's two things on the Aphex that you have to look at. Well, four, actually, but it's really two that you call by. One of them is the big bottom. Big bottom. The big bottom is what's helping. It's running the tube. So that determines your frequency and how much drive you're putting into that tube. So the more you have, the more big bottom you're going to have, that big, dark. Then they've got the aural, A-U-R-A-L, dirty-minded people out there, the aural exciter. Now, the aural exciter, again, is playing with the tube, but with different frequencies. So that's playing more with the highs, the mid to highs, and the aural, and the big bottom is going with the bottom, the deeper, the mids to lows. So in essence, the Aphex has a tube. A lot of people may not realize that. That is a tube-driven preamplifier. We have here 3 of the Presonus studio channels. They're about $300, which is pretty inexpensive for a good studio channel, USB drivers, and they have a tube, and you can control the grit of that tube, and again, how much gain and all that. So it's rather interesting, but those are the things that control tubes and why you would have a tube. Do you have anything else with the tube, Jeff?
I think I do have the Presonus. I have the Presonus channel too.
Oh, you do? Well. You're right. I forgot about that one. And that's also tube-driven.
Because I bought the Aphex 250. I think I got that, and then that broke for some reason, and go well, so I've got the Personas because it was a bit cheaper at the time.
Oh, the 230 you had a power problem, right?
I had a problem, and then I couldn't find anybody to fix it, and it was quite awkward. So I bought the Aphex channel, and I thought, oh, good, I'll lash out and get one because I like the Aphex.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, as soon as I bought that, I found somebody who fixed the other one for $50.
Yeah, that was a good deal because that's $1,000. And it's still good. The 230 works just. I don't find that much difference between the 230 and the studio channel. I can't say one's better than the other. One's newer. And I still
find the older one. I don't know what. It just sounds better to me. I think
it may be. It may be. I kind of do too. I use it at home, and it's a little different. I'm on the studio channel right now. Are you on the studio channel now?
No, I'm on the Aphex on the 250.
230.
230. So
230. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're on that one. That's interesting. What do you use? Are you doing your book reading on the studio channel?
On this one? No, I do that
on the 230. So what are you using the studio channel for, or is that just in the background now?
No, I've got that hooked up at the moment to the Procaster.
Oh, okay.
But I can switch them on or put switch them around because when I'm doing the audio books, that's why I have two.
Yeah.
That I need to. But I have the setting because once you get the sound right, don't touch them.
I know.
So that's why that one's left alone. So it's the same. So if I want to do any messing around, I use the other one because I thought this is the one I know it's right for me audio books and me voiceover. So I'll leave it to that, and then the others can go on that one.
Okay.
And I did have the Personas did actually work better for the Rode Procaster. That seemed to do because the Aphex didn't seem to do as well with it.
Yeah, I remember we had problems with it at first. Now I don't seem to have a problem now, but it used to.
It used to. It never, no matter how much you turned, it never used to drive it properly.
No,
whereas
it didn't sound. It was the only mic I had that didn't work well with it, and now it seems to be fine. I don't know what happened,
Maybe you've got the Cloudlifter, and that makes the difference.
You know what? Maybe that changed something. You're right. That could do it. Now, I think we talked about the Cloudlifter in a previous show, I think, right?
That's right. Yes.
We have, yeah.
Yeah, we can't mention that enough. If you have a dynamic microphone, like a Rode Procaster or a Shure SM7B, a Hio PR40, these are all mics that do require a certain amount of power to run. And a lot of the preamplifiers don't have that. Now the Aphex 230 does give you 65 dB of gain, so it can handle it, but not all of them do. So the Cloudlifter kind of goes between your mic and your preamplifier and treats it almost like a condenser mic. It gives it power. So now your audio settings can go down by half, and you have a lot less noise, and it sounds very clean. And I tell you, the condenser mics, not the condenser, the dynamic mics sound almost like condensers when you have that.
Well, yeah, and I think also part of the
Okay.
idea behind the Cloudlifter is that inherent to adding gain to an audio signal, you're going to tend to get noise, even if it's just a tiny bit of noise, and kind of the more complex the device that you're giving it, that you're adding that gain in, you're going to tend to get more noise. So the idea is you have the Cloudlifter, which just it adds a fixed amount of gain, and that's all it does. It's going to be a very clean gain that it's adding. You're not going to be putting like pretty much imperceptible amount of noise added to your audio signal.
It's sort of funny. I'm looking at Harold, and with us next to him, we look like the Praetorian Guard surrounding him. Anything happens, the orange guys take over. This just looks sort of funny. Anyway, Jeff, when you record your books, I was going to ask you this. I never did. Do you put any compression on? Because a lot of times the people don't want anything when you send it to them. They just want raw voice, and then they add their own. Or do you do just like a little bit of compression?
I try to make it as natural as possible, and I use it for more so to get the sound, to get the reverb out, so you get any background noise out of it, or get that.
Okay.
Just get the sound nice, but I thought I don't make it too deep. But it's not like then you see me and I'm hello, how are you? It's not like that. I try to make it, and then sometimes I record it on a different mic as well, and that's got nothing that goes straight into the recorder, and then I still use a bit of gate through Audition. And I thought at one stage just leaving it blank, but it just doing that little bit makes it okay. But it all depends, who you're supplying it for, because a lot of people these days, if you're doing it all right and you're editing, it all depends what it's for. Most of the time, they don't want to mess around with it. If they can just get that, splice it into their work, maybe up and down, just adjust the volume slightly, that's it. They don't want to have to do all the work. So I'm still one that says give them the best signal you can, but if it's too much, they can't do anything with it. If it is, but just,
right.
Some people, like you said, one of the people we know, it doesn't sound like he does all the time on his shows as he does in real life, because
who's that?
Walks around with his
hold on. Who is
walk
that?
around with his Apex.
Who's that one? The one that sounds. I'm trying to think.
No, we won't say that.
Give me a hint.
No. Well, I'll say it off air.
Okay, I'm curious now. I'm trying to remember who was that. I know I've heard some that sound really amazing, and then you hear them, it's like, that's not really. Okay, I'm curious. So I'll ask you off air.
That's the thing is, when you do all these things, you've got, because people expect, well, that's what you normally sound like. Well, you don't. It's too much But sometimes I hear some people say, "Oh, you can see it. That's so compressed. So it must make a big deal of difference to the source." But
no,
like I said,
it doesn't do anything to the source. Yeah, it just makes it a little tighter.
I just do it so it keeps out the background noise and make it as clean as possible. That's all I use it for. Whereas without that, you haven't got as much control on that as well. So
wow.
He agrees.
And I've also been this week as well, because what I do is as well, we go from my Aphex into the mixer that goes all the devices. So why I go into the mixer is because then I can decide to use the different Aphex to go, and then go out from that into my TASCAM recorder. And then I'll record it straight into that. I can also record it into the computer at the same time. But the reason I do the TASCAM, I don't have to have the computer going. So if the fans won't kick on the computer, so it's very quiet on that. And I find it's much better to put that onto the computer later, and from that you don't get half as much problem, because the TASCAM only job is to record. It seems to be, I don't know about you, but I get scared when a computer's recording for an hour or something. You just get a bit worried, is it going to save properly or whatever? But when it's on a TASCAM by itself, it seems to be more reliable.
It's safer. But I've had Audition's usually pretty good. I haven't had too many issues. You know what I have issues with Audition on? And I think all of us here are using Audition to do our audio recording and editing. I find that Audition has some bugs with showing meters. Every so often, meters just go away. That's happened to me on and off. It's like, where'd the meters go? They're gone. And I have to literally get out of Audition and get back in, or I have no idea what I'm metering. That's a bug somewhere.
There are certain times when it turns off, and what you're supposed to have to do is double-click on it. However, it suffers from the same thing that just about every Adobe app suffers from, which is a lot of times it won't register as many clicks as it's supposed to, so sometimes you have to click up to like 5 times on something that's supposed to be a double-click.
Interesting. Yeah, because I've had to get out of it. Fortunately, it hasn't happened while I'm recording, at least serious recording, but when I've been recording, it's been good. But every so often, it's just, I turn around and, where'd it go? It's gone. I'm looking at the second monitor, the top, the back, behind. No, it's gone. No, it doesn't work anymore. Oh, I also have the other problem I've noticed. Every so often, my WAV file goes away. It's gone. Oh. But it still records, and you can play it back perfectly. You get out, get back in, there it is. Those are bugs.
I found what happens though in there. You can, if you're doing something else, and you're using a trackpad or your mouse, you're pinching or expanding sometimes you can minimize just the display and there's nothing on the line, but it's still there. I've done that when I'm doing, you think you're doing something else and you actually, your mouse is over that side and it minimizes that as well. But also, with I was saying with my TASCAM, as I said, I really like my TASCAM. I'm looking at now. I think the only thing I don't like, because it's a handheld one, which I can take out. It's got the normal mics. But I was thinking of getting the another one, which was the TASCAM DR60 Mark III.
The new one looks pretty good, doesn't it?
And it's not too bad, but it's a bit. The button's a bit more accessible. Plus, it'll screw onto the tripod, and your camera can screw on top of it.
I think also it's got a better backlit screen that you can make pretty bright, and it's got some other stuff in it. That's the 60.
The 60, yeah, and then I thought I wouldn't mind investing in that because it does a real good job to go with your camera as well.
Okay.
So
now, will that also work as an audio interface?
No, that's
It
the one
doesn't.
thing that they well, it says the Zoom equivalent one does, but it has a lot more. But like they say, the Zoom one's more aimed at musicians. And it'd be better,
right?
But the TASCAM's probably more aimed for people like us who wants audio for audio recording, film recording. You can hook it up to.
Now there are some models I think that do work as an audio interface. I'm trying to remember which ones they were.
But the thing is, I'm not too bothered because I don't care. I've got all that sorted. And I'll go out from my audio interface to that. And the only downside they say with that TASCAM eats through batteries, but most of the time I have it connected up to the electricity on through the USB connector.
Okay.
And that works. And but they say about 3 hours on that totally. But they said it's only a problem if you are doing big shoots all the time. But hey, let's face it, if you're doing big shoots all the time, and those long watches usually got electricity, and you're usually powering up monitors and different things to.
Now, in Harold's office, you have a Zoom preamp.
Yeah, I'm in my office there. I'm using the Zoom U44.
Which is, it's like a small tablet size, right?
Yeah, it's a So
is it a small mixer? Is that the one with the mixer? It has faders.
It has faders, but yeah, it just has like levels fader. So it does some of that stuff. It's mostly just a USB interface, but it works pretty well. It
has a pretty good sound. I didn't like it. I got it originally, and I went, I can't read it. It has this little teeny weeny screen with very teeny weeny fonts in the corner. I'm like,
you may be thinking of a different one. This one does not have a screen. It just has.
That was the other one. So that was the other one probably.
Yeah.
But it has good sound. When you record on it, it's pretty clean.
Mm-hmm.
I said the only problem with that TASCAM now, it's I see it at B&H. It's only $199 for you guys.
Yeah.
Over there. So, but here it's $449 or $429.
Oh, it's double. Is that because of tariffs or the conversion?
I know when I bought my DR40 TASCAM, I remember the dollar was good. It cost me I think $149 when I bought that, and even now those ones here are still $329 now. So I thought I bought that at the right time, but I'll wait to see when the dollar gets better or get it cheaper. But
yeah, Harold,
it's still about 300 and something.
Harold, who owns TASCAM now?
TX still, don't they?
I don't know if they still do.
Yeah, they did. It's still got on the product. Did have on the product before, I think.
Because
it's always been even
TAC, Tokyo Television Acoustic Company.
Oh, interesting.
Or Tokyo Electroacoustic Company, I guess.
Because I know when my days in retail in the audio place, you used to sell all the TX stuff, and the TX was the commercial one, the consumer one. But if you had the reel to reel, you had the TASCAM reel to reel, and it was always.
I remember
the best.
those. Those were kind of cool. Yeah. And my dad had a Kai 10-inch reel to reel. That thing was so beautiful. There was the magic about watching those things spin.
I've still got my Telefunken reel to reel. I still have that from.
And Telefunken, that was another popular audio brand. You don't hear much about it anymore, but that was a great audio brand.
They did TVs at one stage and did a lot of things in the 90s and that. So,
do you remember Bang & Olufsen or Bang & Olufsen?
Yeah.
Those were the Swedish. They were very thin. They're owned, I think, by Samsung now.
Yeah, we were looking them up, right?
Yeah.
They're still around. They're still making.
Expensive. It's not cheap.
Because they were.
They still look nice.
Yeah, that's right. It's because they got acquired by Harman, and Harman got in turn acquired by Samsung.
So Samsung owns quite a few now.
Yeah, so what's Harman Kardon? Was that Harman?
Harman Kardon, that's part of it. Harman bought Kardon, I think, and then they became Harman Kardon. And then Harman bought AKG. What else did they buy?
Yeah, so they have AKG, they have Soundcraft, JBL, Mark Levinson, DBX.
You have
DBX.
You have Nabisco over there, is it?
Nabisco?
Yeah.
The cookies?
Well, that's what they always said. They said, Polygram, Warner Brothers, and Nabisco are merging together. It says Polly want a cracker.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's an old joke.
That's an old one, but it's always funny. I forgot about that one. I remember there was a time about 18 years ago that UPS and FedEx, or FedEx and UPS, were thinking of merging, and the new company was going to be called Fed Up.
Fed Up. It's amazing, though. It's amazing how some companies do go together and put the words, and they don't realize what it says sometimes.
No.
And sometimes it comes out something really horrible.
Well, we were laughing the other day because we have a new vice presidential candidate for Joe Biden out of his basement somewhere. But anyway, her name is Kamala Harris. And Kamala in Finnish means horrible and disgusting. I was going, oh man. Somebody actually went and looked that up. I was just laughing. I go, the things people do. And she's actually quite attractive, but horrible and disgusting. Kamala.
It's amazing. No matter what you do, you as I said, you can't get away from it. Anything you do, look somewhere, it'll be something not very nice.
That's right.
Like here, the last motor vehicle I had, which was quite strange why they called it the Pajero here, and that was it.
Wait, that's a Mitsubishi?
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was called in Australia, but
Pajero?
nowhere else.
How was it spelled? P-A-G-J?
Yeah, it's not.
Pajero. Well, you know
what that means.
You know what that means in Spanish, right?
Yes, I do, and that's why I said, why in Australia? That's the only place, because everywhere it's called the Mondeo or something.
The Montero. It was a Mitsubishi Montero. And here
because
because
you've got a big Spanish population.
Pajero.
Yes.
But you know what it means in slang, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Harold, do you know what that means?
I do not know.
It's somebody who likes to masturbate a lot.
Jeez.
That is not a good name for a truck. I mean, or for a car.
I used to drive the Pajero. But as I said, no matter where you go, there's somewhere. But that's why only in Australia people didn't know, and I thought, who came up with that?
Yeah, because you told me you had a Mitsubishi Montero, and I go, oh, cool, I like those, and they're really nice now.
Because I had to say that to be politically correct.
That is so funny, and that you know what it means is even funnier, because out here, I guess some people would know, but that's hilarious.
They also had, I think that Mitsubishi had at the time, they had the Starion.
Oh, I had a Starion.
Yeah, and they always reckoned it was supposed to be a stallion because they had the Colt.
Yeah, Stallion. Yeah.
Somebody just misunderstood the naming in it.
Now, I didn't have the official Mitsubishi Starion. I had the Dodge Conquest, which was the Starion. In those days, Mitsubishi made cars for Dodge. And it was a little cheaper, not by much, and we got a good deal on it. And it was one of the worst cars I ever had. Not because it was a beautiful car. It drove it was like a jet plane, had a turbo. Oh, I love that car. But the people at Dodge could not fix it. They didn't know what to do with it. It had problems. They had some quality problems. And finally, we did a voluntary repossession here. You can take it back. We don't want it anymore because they couldn't fix it.
Maybe you should have taken it to Mitsubishi.
No, they wouldn't look at it. I called, and they said, no, we don't make that. What do you do make it? They go, yeah, but we don't warrant that one. And I go, what is it? The rejects that you make? They go, well, yeah. So somebody, I don't know if they were kidding or not, but he said that was their rejects that went to Dodge. I went, great.
But I've always done it in anything you buy. I'll never buy something that's made by another company that's exactly the same, because
I know.
they never seem. We've had that here. We've had that Ford had a range of cars which exactly it came from Mazda, but it was a Ford badge with a Ford.
Right. Because Mazda owned Ford for a while. I mean, Ford owned Mazda for a while.
As I said, if Ford won't fix it, Mazda won't fix it.
No.
You never will have a problem if you go to Mazda to do the
same. You don't know how long that relationship between the companies is going to last.
And eventually Ford sold Mazda.
And
so I think they may own a part of it now, but they're pretty much independent.
I just can't see the point of having the same thing just with a different badge on it.
What made you get rid of the Mitsubishi, which was really nice, and go for you have the Jeep now, right?
Jeep. Yeah, the only thing I love the Mitsubishi. It was so good, but the only thing is, and I like the top of the range stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So to get the top of the range with all of the features in it, I had to have the 7 seats.
Oh.
And you can't buy. So you've paid this money for these leather seats in the back that's folded down with the
nobody will
dog
ever see them. Yep.
But then it makes the bottom not so flat for the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Also, as well, it made it 6 inches higher because of the seats in it, and then there was seat backs in the back, and they were going to get wrecked. So I didn't want that. The Jeep was the only big car in the one that I wanted, with all the accessories that only had 4 seats and it had a flat back.
Yeah.
And
which one did you get? You got the Jeep?
The Grand Cherokee.
Yeah, the Grand Cherokee's beautiful. I've never driven it, but I've ridden in it a couple of times, and it's nice. It's comfy.
It's pity because the Pajero, the Mitsubishi was so nice. I would have still kept it, but as I said, it was only just that one thing, and I couldn't bear to see it get wrecked over the years.
No.
Not using that, so I thought, well, sell it while it got me a good price at the time. And I thought, but as I said, I could never bag it because it was such a good car. I did enjoy it.
Pajero, right? Pajero?
Oh.
Yes,
yeah, she knows. Yes. Yeah, she knows. She knew. She's on it. Yep. Makes her happy.
Done a half an hour now.
So anyway, the Grand Cherokee's great, and they don't really drive like a Jeep. They drive like a really comfortable car. So,
and one thing I like, it's an American car. One thing I like, it's the best thing in the world that and I thought it's only because it's American that does it. Every other car that you go into, when you switch it on the screen, it says, "Please press this button so you don't look at this screen and don't do this while you're driving." And you have to press the button to OK to show everything. Not the American. The American one shows it up and then 2 seconds it just disappears.
It's gone. I have that in our car.
I'm not going to put up with you having to because every other car. If you don't, you're driving around for hours without the sat nav on because you haven't pressed the button.
Yep.
And the American one just flashes it up, then it disappears. So I said, I like that.
That's funny. Well, we are pretty much out of time. We did about 35 minutes, 36.
Oh.
It's great. It went fast.
Okay.
It went real fast. I'll try to call you tomorrow.
Yes, I'll be. I should be around
because I think I'm going to be pretty quiet tomorrow. Leslie's going to go pick Krista up at about 5:36, so maybe I'll try you about that time.
Oh well, that'd be good because I should be. I'm doing a bit of work tomorrow working from home from about 2:00. Hey, it doesn't matter when you're stuck at home anyway. So
yep, that's true. All right. Well, Jeff, have a good one. Harold, you too. And for all you folks watching, buy some gear, have some fun.
Yeah.
And remember, get a tube. You want a tube. Tubes are good. We'll see you next week on Tech Down Over. I got it right this time.
Yeah, well, you was thinking then, wasn't you?
I had to think for a second. I said I screwed up last week, 2 weeks in a row, so I think I got it right. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.